Hello and welcome. This is Australian Transformers Weekly back for 2021. And let that roll around in your head for a while, because the only way to actually say the name of this year is to say that 2020 won against us. We're back for 2021. We're bringing you Transformers news from around the world, sometimes in Australian accents and sometimes with a couple of new voices. This is episode 223. We're recording live on Friday, January 15th, that year again, 2021. This week we will be talking about the new year and new figures, because there's a shitload of them all over Australia. Maybe not all over. We've watched Earthrise, so we're going to talk about it. So there's going to be quite a few spoilers, and there's a new Ultra Magnus figure coming, but he still has no cape, and we're probably not going to talk about that actually. All that and more is coming up in this week's episode of Australian Transformers Weekly.
Well, we're still doing the thing. I thought we did that thing.
No, I don't have the opening credits music, so Brad will edit the opening credits music over this until we get to the point where we can actually just insert it into the into things for us. And so we're done, and that's it. We're here. We're live. We're back for 2021. I'm Jason. Joining me this week, we have a very full slate coming to us from Perth, Western Australia. We've got Bradley. How are you doing, Bradley?
I'm doing well, thanks, Jason. Happy New Year. And how are you doing?
The less said about my last month, the better. We didn't end up doing a final show for 2020, and it was basically my fault. There's a lot of things that have been going on over the last month in TCCA that are kind of my fault. I've been in hospital and out of hospital.
I was going to say, not your fault per se.
They kind of are, but it's okay.
I don't think it's a thing you need blaming for.
No, that's fine. But there's definitely some blame to lay, and that voice that you could hear there is Daria coming to us from Canberra. How are you doing, Daria?
Hi, hello, Happy New Year to podners and listeners. Yep. We're doing good down here.
Is someone stealing your car?
No, my neighbour's stealing their own car.
Oh, fair enough. Hopefully they bring it back.
It's this annoying thing. There's a whole rigmarole, even just when he just starts it up.
Fair enough. One of my friends from Canberra has just sent me a video of himself wearing a face mask with a digital LCD sign in it. So it must be a Canberra thing, right? We also have a new person joining us this week. Tony, you are in Sydney, aren't you?
I'm mostly in Victoria, but I'm actually talking to you now in New South Wales. Yes. Yeah.
I'm so confused. Where do you live?
In Victoria. No fixed address.
No fixed address. This is why all of the things that I try to send you bounce. Right. Welcome, Tony. Tony Kim hangs out in Transformers Collectors Club Australia's Facebook group and makes a few randomly hilarious comments on a few things. He's been coming in and joining us on the Wednesday night video chats. Which, if you are listening to the podcast and you've not joined us for a Wednesday night video chat, do feel free to come on in and hang out. We do a messenger room in the group on Wednesday nights, and yeah, Tony comes in occasionally. There's a few people who come in occasionally to come and join us and talk about things. And in fact, if you were on the Wednesday video chats, you'd probably be more up to date with what's happening than if you were listening to the podcast, because the podcast has been off the air for a month. Anyway, welcome to the show, Tony. And
well, thank you so much. Yes, very nice to be here. Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, so I was making the joke during the week that you've now ruined your podcast listening experience, because you'll never listen to the podcast again now that you're on it.
That's right. Well, I'll have to delete all of the other podcasts out of my podcast app and just save for this one, right?
I'll be honest. I can already see the stats for Victoria are going to be halved. Remembering, of course, the other person who is in Victoria is our erstwhile producer, Brad Mull. Thank you very much, Brad, for editing the show and putting together our show notes every week. So, on that, without further ado, this is the part of the show where I would usually ask what you've been up to this week. However, it's been a month. We've had Christmas, we've had New Year, and we've had a new Transformers series drop on Netflix. So, I can kind of assume what you've been up to for the last couple of weeks. So Transformers Earthrise has hit Netflix. I'm going to assume that everyone has seen it. Daria.
Yes, definitely saw it. Binged it the night it came out.
Bradley.
Definitely seen it.
Tony. Oh, that's the wrong side.
The other way. It was the only thing that I did on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, not on New Year's Eve. Oh, I did. I watched it the night before because I was stuck at home bored. It's pretty much. I'm actually quite amused that this happened for the second time. So when Siege dropped on Netflix earlier in 2020, we had a lot of discussions about the precise time at which the show was going to drop, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's going to come out at midnight, and I'll be able to watch it at 1 a.m." And I'm like, "You're not going to be able to do that." So I went to Netflix.
Right time zone.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I went to Netflix's online help, and I was like, "Guys, when is Earthrise dropping? And when is Siege dropping?" And they were like, "Oh, it's a Netflix original, so it drops at midnight Pacific time." Cool. What time is that in Sydney? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. That's actually really nice. You can have dinner. You can have some dinner or have an early dinner, whatever. Settle in and watch some Transformers. And so 7:01 p.m. I was started, and I'm off and running. But there were still people who were just like, "Oh, I can't watch it. It's not up yet. What's going on?" It's like, look at the right time. But to be fair, Netflix also doesn't exactly make it obvious when the episodes are coming up. Like, there's like a page for it on the service, and there's a trailer, and it's like, we don't know when it's dropping, whatever. And I had actually forgotten the time zone that they like. I remembered the midnight drop for all the Netflix originals, but I'd forgotten the time zone, so I couldn't do the conversion. So I went back to Netflix's online help, and I was like, "Hey guys, when does Earthrise drop?" And they're like, "Well, we don't usually give a time for these things, but like it'll be sometime during the day." And I just went, last time I asked this question, someone told me that Netflix originals all drop at midnight in a specific time zone. Earthrise is a Netflix original, and they're like, "Oh, you're right. Oh, okay, well, it's midnight PT." Oh, good. So anyway, that's the experience of getting to watch Earthrise.
Sorry, there was an additional confusion because right at the last minute they decided this is going to be categorized as its own series, not as season 2 of the first one. So I know a lot of people were refreshing on Siege, seeing when chapter 2 was going to come up, but of course it's off. Apparently now chapter 2 of Earthrise is chapter 1. Sorry, chapter 2 of War for Cybertron is chapter 2. Now, chapter 2 of War for Cybertron is now chapter 1 of Earthrise. See, I can't even say it. That's how confusing it is.
We're all as confused as you are now. Yeah. So I think that's an old trick, right? If someone goes onto Netflix and types Transformers, they just wanted to show up as many search slots as possible in the results. That's the old trick of like going back to old computer game days. You would put your single floppy disk in a massive box because when it goes on store shelves, it's the biggest thing and everyone comes in and buys it. Sorry, Tony, what were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, did anyone watch Siege in the lead up to watching Earthrise, just to sort of get themselves reacclimatized with the show? Yeah, see, that's why I was watching Earthrise on the 31st, because I wanted to make sure I was up to speed with Siege on the 30th.
You do know you could have watched Siege on the 29th.
I absolutely could have done that. I was trying to get myself a life, and it didn't actually work.
Just in case you need a tip, I do know where you can download one from.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to have to get that from you offline.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I'll snail mail it to you. But yeah.
But I got to say though, watching Siege again, I did not feel any better about the show. In fact, I actually felt a lot worse.
This is why I didn't watch it again.
Yeah, no, you made the right call. It was just you sort of watch it again without. I mean, sorry. When I watched Siege for the first time, I was in awe of just the fact that I was seeing a Transformers cartoon that kind of looked like the toys up on the screen, and it looked amazing. And then that joy kind of wore off eventually after about episode 1. And then, but this time around, I sort of didn't have that sheen, so I lost the sheen. started watching episode 1 and really sort of started critiquing it a little too much, to the point where I hate watched it by the time I got to the end of the series.
Yeah.
Not a good feeling to hate watch stuff, guys. No, don't recommend. 110%.
Well, so okay, all right. So the first thing I wanted to ask about Earthrise, really, in terms of just a summary feeling, positive, negative, or ambivalent. I feel like yours is negative.
Yes, it is negative, but it didn't start out that way.
But it took a nosedive in episode 1.
Well, sorry, I was referring to Siege, but in terms of Earthrise. Yeah, but in terms of Earthrise, I started out kind of hopeful, cautiously optimistic that this would somehow rise above the muck that was Siege, and then I ended the series with, even at the very end, that sort of final scene where you see Dinobot. I felt like.
I'm going to make a very specific joke that I think everyone on the podcast is of the appropriate age to know. So if this was 60 minutes and you had the worm, the worm started in the middle, it went up slightly, and when it became available to stream, and then it took a sharp plummet.
Oh, it nosedived, absolutely, and it stayed there where it belonged, at the bottom.
Yeah, I think it'll look like one of those Z's that goes across and just straight down and then across again.
It's like the opposite of America's COVID cases, but yes.
Yes.
That's right. Let's just say I broke the controller that controls the worm. I turned it too far.
You turned it too far. You turned it too far.
I broke the knob. Yeah, that's right.
That's a very different podcast, but yeah. So, all right. So your experience pretty negative. I'll say. So, I didn't mind it, right? I didn't mind it. It doesn't mean I liked it. It doesn't mean that I think it's very good, but I knew what to expect because of Siege, right? I knew to expect wobbly abs. I knew to expect Megatron's voluptuous lips. I knew to expect shitty voice acting, and I knew to expect a really weirdly paced show, and I got all of those things. So mission accomplished. I feel whelmed by the series. It didn't overwhelm me. It didn't underwhelm me. It just whelmed me. So, my overall feeling is just a bit ambivalent. There are definite positives and there are negatives in there, but I don't care enough about the positives for them to outweigh the negatives. There's stuff that I thought was interesting, and we'll talk about some of those things as we go on. But it's just. It's interesting insofar as it's they had this idea and they gave it to someone who really shouldn't be writing Transformers to flesh it out. And that's sort of where I landed on it. How about yourself, Daria?
Also ambivalent and very patchy, I'd say. There were parts where I was going, yep, that's a good idea. Oh, they did that well. And others where I'm going, can I skip ahead and just assume I know what's going to happen?
I saw a mention in the Facebook group last night. Someone said that there are people on a particular forum somewhere who've suggested watching it at 1.5 speed.
Yes, that was me. I have listened because Moonbase 2 and other podcasts, recommend that one. They got their review in already, and apparently people are genuinely saying if you watch it at 1.5 speed, the pacing isn't so bad, and the voice acting at least doesn't leave you dozing off or going for a cup of tea.
The best thing about watching it at 1.5 speed is that the voice acting goes by faster.
Well, I think the guy that plays Megatron, you would have every time Megatron speaks, I think you'd have to go to 2 speed, maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
And then for everyone else, you'd go to 1.5.
I agree. Actually, you know what? Megatron should actually just be the new host of Australian Idol.
Oh, Big Brother.
No, they didn't do that in Big Brother, but it's it's not that. It's like, yes, Optimus, we will find out who Australia voted to eliminate after.
What do you think, Ultra Magnus?
Yeah. At which point, and Bradley might be the only person who gets this joke, I'll just say, Peter Harvey. 1, 2, 3, 4. Canberra.
Peter Harvey.
Peter Harvey, yes. That is just that. I think we've just made this podcast more Australian than it's ever been by invoking the ghost of Peter Harvey.
And this is what makes me think it's as much the directing as the acting, because I have heard the guy who plays Megatron and the guy who plays Optimus playing Megatron and playing Optimus and doing them a lot better than they do here. And I actually listened to an interview of the show writers, I think a writer and producer. This will become relevant in that they defend some of the voice choices, going, oh, we want it to be all new and different, and so we didn't want everyone to imitate the previous versions or call in all the old voice actors. Like, that's fine. Why are you holding these guys then over a barrel trying to make them do Cullen and Welker, because they are not working?
Yeah, they're really not. So whenever Prime gets angry, I don't even know the name of the guy who's doing Prime, and I don't care to. But whenever he does Angry Prime, like, his Cullen impersonation just falls away, and it's just some dude yelling in a microphone.
I legit thought they had two different people doing Optimus Prime's voice.
Yeah, someone actually said to me, did they change the Prime voice actor? I can't remember if it was you.
I don't know if you all have watched Cyberverse, but he's also Optimus on that, and he's fine. He's not the same Optimus as elsewhere, but he's not supposed to be, and he's fine. He's certainly not this spiraling towards Christian Bale Batman stuff.
Yeah. So so while we're on quick overall thoughts, because we've gotten a little bit into the weeds already. Bradley, overall thoughts, positive, negative, ambivalent.
I'm probably going to be a bit more positive, just because I always enjoy seeing Transformers stories told in different ways. The only exception to that rule is anything to do with Michael Bay. I think he tells a shit story. But I like the way these are told. I like the Quintesson sort of going completely nuts and slicing off most of its faces. I like the Mercenaries. I really like Galvatron. I had to my friend and I were watching it, and we got this. I
liked how Galvatron was just sort of like Megatron's daddy.
Yeah, but it was weird because we're watching Megatron and Barricade have a fight, and then we got distracted, and then suddenly we saw Galvatron form. It's like, hang on, did Barricade just become Galvatron? And then we had to rewind it, and it's like, oh no. Galvatron's spawn animation was just his 86 movie introduction.
There's quite an amusing thing where you see Galvatron sort of standing behind Megatron on board a ship, and it did make me think that they were about to go bobsledding or something for the Winter Olympics.
Saddle up, Daddy.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah. All right. So Bradley, positive, Daria and myself ambivalent, and Tony decidedly negative for our viewing experience and thoughts about it. No, that's all right. You're perfectly entitled to it. Let's talk a little bit about characters. So we saw the introduction of a few new characters. Most notably, I think the mercenary faction, Skylinks, and Quintesson. What did you guys think of the newbies? Any stand out in particular?
Was Skylinks typical of another Skylinks? Because I don't
think so.
No?
No, I don't think so.
He was headstrong like G1, but was he in the comics ever sent to the Dead Universe?
No. Not as far as I'm aware. The fact that the Dead Universe has basically just become like Superman's Phantom Zone, it's a fucking dead universe. You don't just send prisoners there and they don't sit there. Like, it's a dead universe. Like, if you send something there, it's meant to be dead. And this sort of goes to part of my problem with the show, is that they just use names. And it's like, that name, are you aware that you've just said that something's dead, but you've got someone living in it? Or whatever.
And there's a whole universe around it. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's a dead universe, but it's just a portal that gets you in and out of the dead universe in one particular spot. Like, what if the portal opened up next to a different planet?
Yeah.
Like, no, then you're fucked, aren't you? But the one thing I will say is I actually kind of liked I kind of liked calm and centered Skylinks.
Yes.
That was it was a nice beat, and being in episode 5, it was nice to sort of take a bit of a break from all the monotones and monologuing in the other episodes, and have a few character moments between Prime and Skylinks and Megatron and Galvatron, and like it was actually a welcome respite. Like I said, I didn't find everything negative about the show. It's just there were some good things and there were some bad things. You mentioned Bradley. You mentioned Galvatron's intro as like the '86 movie thing, but it's like a split second of green grid, and it's like his beam in and beam out animation. It's like the way they. God. Yeah, oh, I know. It was great in that respect, but also completely without any point of reference. It's like at no point did anyone go, "What's that weird green thing in the corner?" Oh my god, it's a grid that's parting. It's just like it's like a different animator worked on that part. And they're like, right, here you go, done.
Well, Galvatron also looks like he was designed by someone different to everyone else in the show too.
Yes. So there's a couple of things with that. RC is completely off model as far as her toy goes, and so is Galvatron. And I think because when they had to design RC or they had to design Elita 1 in Series 1, like that figure type wasn't really out yet, and so I don't think they had much of a frame of reference for it. So the main thing with Elita 1 for the Netflix figure is that the head sculpt is different to RC, and the rest of it is just a repaint of RC, but she's quite different in the show. And so yeah, there were a couple of notable things, and also with Siege, there was no Cybertronian Bumblebee to go on as well. So like you can tell where they've received the CAD designs from Hasbro for most characters, and for some of them they're just like, yeah, just go nuts, do whatever you want. Oh, you've done that, okay, oh sure, whatever. We don't have time to redo it.
And the aforementioned interview revealed that by this point the showmakers were quite ahead of the toys. So even though sometimes they knew there were toys coming, they had to go, look, we just got to put them in the show now, just make them look like what they look like, and we can't, if we can adapt to the toy, fine. If not, we just don't have time and just have to roll with it.
I'm seeing a 86 Galvatron scene happening here. Then see him in the movie first, and when you get the toy, it's completely different.
Well, yeah. So I don't think the Galvatron toy that is rumored to be coming in Kingdom is going to look anything like he looked on screen here.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Let's also call out while we're talking about Galvatron, it was the briefest of mentions, and he appeared on screen and muttered an angry line. Unicron.
Mm.
Just a bit of a hint to the fact that there's a Unicron coming out this year. You know.
Now, was he in the dead universe, or was he out of the dead universe?
Who can tell?
I'd say out.
Maybe I don't know. Like it's really unclear what was going on with Galvatron appearing and disappearing or whatever. But the show is such a grab bag of references to things that have gone before. In the UK Marvel comics, Galvatron is constantly traveling back in time to try and get one up on Unicron, and that's pretty much what he did here. Like, it's implied sort of that he's time traveled back, because obviously Megatron ain't dead or whatever, and so he's traveled back to try to hand Megatron the golden disc that disappeared anyway. So like he may as well not have bothered, and then Unicron's like, "Oh, you're a naughty boy."
Oh God, never say that again.
I think my ears are bleeding, Jace.
But like it's just this is part of the problem that I have with the show is just there's so many things that it does, and it's just like make Galvatron appear and disappear using his 86 animation. How? I don't care. Just do it. Make Unicron say something bad about Galvatron. Cool. And it's like, oh well, they've obviously got the CAD from HasLab for Unicron, so it's like very little effort went into that scene. It's just like stick it there, stick a nebula behind it, put some lights on it, and done. And then you don't even need to sync up the lines to someone's voice. But like, there's just so many things like that. Let's also let's go back for a minute to talk about Skylinks, right? It has been pointed out that so Skylinks is alive in the Dead universe, but now because Megatron learned to summon the hate plague in the Dead universe and fire it at the Autobot shuttle, because why not? Now he dead. So does everyone remember the Galactic Odyssey? The Galactic Odyssey collections that have been announced as Amazon exclusives, right?
Yeah.
One of those sets is specifically in Skylinks' colours because it's designed to match up with Skylinks. And that is the Botropolis Rescue Mission. Those guys are going to be really disappointed when they go to the Dead universe to try to rescue a dead Skylinks.
Yeah, but if he dies in the Dead universe, is he still dead or is he alive?
I don't know the rules, Bradley. Does anyone?
That's what I'm asking.
Does fucking FJ DeSanto know the rules of the Dead universe? I don't know. Does anyone know what FJ stands for? I'll give you a hint. I know what the F stands for, but I'm not going to say
Would you like
it.
to know what FW stands
Yes. I'll give you a hint. The second one's wit. I don't know what the rules of the Dead universe are because they've just cribbed all of this shit from different continuities and just thrown it in there and just gone, that'll be cool. And this was literally the problem with the Machinima series that DeSanto also oversaw, because when that started, they were like, "Hey, this is Combiner Wars. We are going to adapt the IDW Combiner Wars story." And then they got halfway through it and they're just like, "Shit, there's so much backstory. We can't adapt this." But now they've been given free reign to make their own thing, and there's just so many things that are just half baked about it.
So do you think, though, that Hasbro have a role to play in this, as in to blame for this kind of stuff? Because I wonder whether FJ DeSanto writes all the scripts, right, and then he hands it to some Hasbro executive and then says, "Look, here it is," and the Hasbro executive is sort of chewing on a fat cigar, playing with these Amazon exclusives. That
is he in a smoke-filled room?
Yeah, that's right.
That's not going to do good for the resale value.
That's right. And Galvatron's standing behind him, and for no reason. But I wonder whether they just don't bother reading it. So they don't care about it. It's just designed to sell toys. And so they go, all right, FJ, do whatever you want with the scripts, but that's all good with us.
I think there needs to be a serious question asked as to whether or not the point of this show is actually to sell the toys.
I think what they do is they mention these far-off scripts like the Dead universe, and just to see if people are paying attention, and if they are, they Google it, they look it up on the wiki, they find out what it is, and then they're a bit more knowledgeable about the Transformers lore. That's all I think it is.
Well, there is a big "who is this for" hanging over the series, especially this season, because there's stuff there is like, okay, that's only going to make sense to long-time Transformers fans, but then you keep changing it and saying, "Oh, this is something totally new. We are appealing to everybody." It's like Galvatron being Megatron for the future. That's something we as fans all know. But if you're as a casual viewer, it's going to take some doing to pick that up, and then he just disappears again, and you're sort of gone, "What was that about? Is he the ghost of Christmas Future?"
Yeah, you can actually hang baubles off his horns.
Well, there could also be the fact that this was the very, very old Galvatron too.
Oh, are you saying he's like Dark Knight Returns Galvatron?
Yes, and he still somehow has a link to Unicron. I don't know.
Oh,
It's a good point
maybe.
you raised, Eric, because I was sort of thinking about that when I was watching it on New Year's, in terms of who is the audience for this, and it's certainly not kids, because to your point,
No.
Jace, it doesn't sound like they're trying to sort of sell toys on this. But for me, it actually feels like it's more about fan service for anyone who's over 40, who's looking to sort of relive their childhood, i.e., all of us on this podcast.
I feel like that's literally the only point of the show.
Yeah, fan service.
It's a bunch of fan service.
It's the same sort of misremembering of things as well. Like when you look back at it, like a fan at our age who hasn't kept in touch with Transformers barely remembers it. A writer of a Transformers series who barely remembers it comes up with this.
That seems fair. Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like half-remembered stuff, so maybe
Yeah.
they get the original writers of the 80s cartoon as well, because they're at the age where this would make no sense at all to anyone else except for them.
That's very
Well, it
true.
even seems to be double backing on itself the previous season. There were so many point here where it lampshaded a little too well that they wanted the end of season 1 to be Optimus Prime casts the Allspark into space, and the plot of season 2 is Optimus Prime looking for the Allspark. And it doesn't take long before you realize, oh, if he's that desperate to find it, he could have not chucked it in the first place. And so they have to keep coming back to that and say, Optimus saying, yeah, sorry about that, not a very good idea.
Well, but that's also part of the central development for Prime in season 2 is actually just going, actually, that was a shit idea. But like we understood perfectly well why he did it at the end of season 1, because it was either that or surrender all Autobot life to be reformatted into Decepticons. So of course he did that. And then now Prime has his crisis of conscience. He has his big moment with Megatron where you think he's going to kill him and he asks him to forgive him, and that just was terribly written. That was a horrible exchange. It's like it's like they're using cliches but thinking they're deep, and they're not. They're not clever and they're not deep because they haven't earned any of the emotion that they imagine people are feeling to go with it.
And he only extends this to Megatron. If you're a repaint without a name or a voice, you just blow your face off. You're dead.
They've killed Skywarp about 5 times on Cybertron as well.
I think they killed Refractor a few times and Cog.
Yeah.
Whereas Megatron, it's a whole, oh no, if I kill someone, I'll be just like him.
Can we ask why Megatron, in the flashback to Before the War, when there's Prime, Megatron, and is it Elita? Ultra Magnus, like speaking to Alpha Trion, right? This is before the war, before everything went shit. Megatron's got his Decepticon faction symbol on his chest, and he's got the battle scars. Like, they didn't think to even fix that.
The Transformer version of ripped jeans.
I wear these. No, sorry. No. I wear these scars because they are trendy. Yeah, because they're scars. Yeah.
After the break.
So in terms of I can't remember who it was. I think it was Tony was saying, like, this is not for kids, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Darren? Yeah. Like, it's definitely not for kids, right? Because fucking episode 1, there's severe body horror in episode 1 with the Quintesson cutting off its own heads. No, it doesn't matter that they're robots. Like, it is literally cutting pieces of itself off, and there's green slime left behind.
As they plead for mercy.
True. Yeah.
It's actually really rough. If you're a kid watching this, like, you would be shit scared. Also, it does explain why the Quintesson ships with only 3 faces attached in the box.
Makes it easier for screen accuracy.
Yeah, you only have to rip 2 of them off. Although I believe the one that remains is actually one of the ones that's detached.
Yeah.
It was a swing and a miss from Hasbro. Can we talk about the fact that the spoiler box figure for Wave 2 does not appear, which is a spoiler in and of itself?
He appears for 1 brief second.
The briefest of seconds. Now, I will just point out, Brad, our producer, has been watching the show today and posted in the chat before the podcast started that, oh man, Nemesis Prime's intro was great. I like it. It was very, very dramatic and stuff. Like, it was cool that they gave Polygon Pictures the budget to download a Final Cut effect to have it zoom into like a cloud fog or something, and then just stick the Nemesis Prime model there. It was just kind of weird. It was overly dramatic. If this does actually bring up something that I do want to point out. While they're really starved for character models in the show because they keep reusing them, they keep repainting them and changing them and stuff, they're really starved for character models. The fucking backgrounds are a thing to behold. Like, Polygon's gone to town on settings and backgrounds and environments for the show. Like, there's a lot of different scenes and different parts of ships and stuff in which action takes place. I find it a really weird juxtaposition that they've gone to such lengths to create the environments, but they're populating them with copies of characters.
You want them to do like the Hanna-Barbera sort of thing, where it's like unique characters, but they're running and like in the background it's just a loop.
They run past in a loop. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing that already.
Yeah.
They're reusing the same characters. But yeah,
It's a question on where they were spending their money, though. If you think about like your
Drugs.
comment around the background, sort of having a lot of the money put into it, I guess, but the character model's not necessarily doing that. I read somewhere someone commented about how it must have you see scenes where the Autobots are running away from the Decepticons, but they're not transforming. And in fact,
yes.
I think of the actual show, you don't really see that many transformations. In fact, people running away instead of converting to robot mode and rolling away. But it made me wonder, is it because it costs extra money somehow to actually convert that character model from the robot mode to all mode? And so they were trying to save money and not actually put as many transformations in.
There's two answers for this. There's an in-universe answer and there's a production answer.
Okay.
The production answer is yes, it costs money to animate something
There'll
transforming.
be more assets into the scene.
Yeah. But also, the in-universe answer is actually that like transforming costs energy and they don't have any. Like, Megatron's literally harvesting energon from his own Decepticons to power his ship. And the Autobots have made a big thing throughout the whole of Siege that they don't have enough energon to repair people or power themselves. So, like, in the universe, you can actually, if you tilt your head, blur your eyes, and then look at the answer in a mirror, you can kind of make sense of it.
And there's also the fact that they transformed to be in disguise. There's not really any disguises there. Everyone knows what everyone looks like pretty much. The only time you really see a transformer is like Jetfire, certainly so he can blast further away and take care of a Decepticon scout. But other than that, everything's just pretty much they hoof it. They don't.
Do you think it's funny that they haven't reused Jetfire's character design? Because they've certainly reused all the sequels.
Don't give them ideas, Jason.
So there are a few characters in Siege that we pointed out hadn't been duplicated. It was Prime, it was Megatron, and Jetfire, and I would have said Omega Supreme, but I'm pretty sure that they actually had multiple Sentinels, like in the fog.
They did, but I don't think they were actually like the same mold.
Probably not, but yeah. But yeah, so now adding on to that, there's Scorponok in Season 2, and
I did like Scorponok as a character, how he was a Transformer that didn't break free of Quintesson rule. It was just a very different take on Transformers' life.
Let's go there with Scorponok, right? I hated the battles with Scorponok, right? Like he just wouldn't die. One, he just wouldn't die, but he was just this big fucking robot that's come out of nowhere and just, me angry. He's Grimlock. It's just like, me fight Quintessons. Are you Quintessons? And I'm like, no, you've just spent the entire of your lifetime fighting Quintessons. Do we look like them, mate? I don't think so. Like, why would Scorponok be confused about whether they're Quintessons?
I couldn't help but laugh that when our heroes first stumble upon him, it's you, nameless guy who doesn't have a toy. Go and see what that fearsome noise is.
The other thing, having mentioned the work that Polygon's put into environment design, right? You've got very specifically designed corridors throughout the ship. And then suddenly, it's like when you get to the boss section in a video game. Suddenly, they walk into this large, expansive area, and it's like, do you think they might encounter a giant transformer? Or something big is going to happen.
That was very video game. I almost expect a little health bar to appear above Scorponok every time they shot.
Yes. Yeah, or for like someone to be like, I've got a scan on his medical things and have a little thing display with every shot, But yeah, no, I really didn't like the Scorponok battle. I found it really confusing. To understand whether or not they're like every single Transformer, even like the Autobots and the Decepticons, both fought against Scorponok together. Even though he's got a fucking Decepticon logo on his chest, but they both started hitting Scorponok with everything they've got, and it's like it's not even clear whether they had an effect. It's like Megatron fired his fucking fusion cannon at Scorponok, and it's like whatever. but it's not clear whether or not they had an effect other than just annoying him and then sending him falling down a hole, which he apparently comes back from, because like everyone who falls down a hole in Star Wars, you return. But like, I found the physical choreography of the battle with Scorponok just really not. It's not that it was confusing; it was exhausting. Like it was pretty straightforward, but it was exhausting in that, like, I don't know why I have to follow this battle so closely in terms of who's where, and they're like, go up to the top and try to think. I'm like, I don't care. Just like transform and fly up and try and shoot them from above. I don't like. You don't have to make a thing of giving them direction other than the fact that you're filling screen time, and that also goes to the problem of pacing with the show, because how many times did Scorponok come back for another 2-minute long battle? It was like 3 times.
About 3
in
or
one
4
episode.
times, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen this. Like, don't do it. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. Oh fuck, he's back again.
And they finally get rid of him, and they're like, "What's all that about?"
Yeah. It's like, just yeah. I was. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's a battle with Scorponok. It's great." Like, fuck no, it wasn't. It wasn't an earned battle, and the end of the battle didn't really feel like they'd earned anything as well. And then you also get the weird thing of like Prime constantly running away from things back to the ship, going out like, "Oh, I need to get back to the ship so that I can blow up the station. I need to get back to the ship. I have to get back to the ship. Oh, I'm running down the corridor. I'm not back to the ship yet." And then gets back to the ship. He's like, "Wait, I can't blow up the station." Like, maybe you should have taken Megatron with you, like if you're that concerned about blowing him up. But yeah, going back to the discussion about like environments and backgrounds. What was with the alien planet on the other side of the Stargate? Also, what's with the Stargate? But yeah, basically they did completely crib Stargate's rules for like opening a wormhole and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, something got jammed in the gate, so it's stuck open. Sorry."
Yeah, that was very weird. That was meant to be Nebulos, I think, the planet, but it was just shoehorned in, and the writers must have been like, "Oh, the fans will make sense of this when they see it," and then the fans saw it, and we were all like, "What the fuck was that?"
Like, at no point did anything make sense of it being nebulous. Like, sure, maybe it is, but that planet isn't going to play a part in Kingdom. Like, we've at least as far as Hasbro's toys go, because like we've already got the idea of Wave 1 because it's in stores. We know what Wave 2 and Wave 3 are, and it ain't going to be Nebulons.
I think maybe it was just Nebulos there to maybe explain Scorponok. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, you reckon Scorponok's from that planet? Maybe, yeah.
I guess it kind of makes sense that Scorponoks are usually linked to Nebuloses, but given how much Scorponok has changed and Nebulos has changed, it really did just seem that they got the playstyle by hitting random on the TF wiki over and over until they went, "Oh, that's a planet we haven't used."
Yeah.
That's one, yeah. So let's talk about a couple of other things. There was so I'm just going through the list of plot points and stuff that we've got. Like, I thought,
short list.
Yeah, I thought it was dumb. We didn't even get to Earth. They didn't use any Earth character models or anything. Like Prime is still his Siege Prime. I mean, I get the Prime's not going to reformat himself into a weird design that hasn't been seen yet, but like, why? I've got a fucking Earthrise Prime in front of me, and they didn't use it.
It's been established that Kingdom is going to be taking place on prehistoric Earth, so there's not going to be a truck there for Optimus Prime to scan into his Earthrise mode. So he's going to be Siege for the whole trilogy.
Do you know what I've just worked out? So Kingdom is not about characters traveling back in time to prehistoric Earth. It's about characters traveling forward in time to modern day Earth.
How would that be? How would that be realized?
I don't know. Gold disc. Weird green grid.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's see if he's right.
Let's roll the dice in 5 months. In terms of other things, Tony, you liked Ultra Magnus's head being on the desk.
I loved the fact that the head was on the desk. It was such a random kind of, almost like a weird Shakespearean sort of thing where, Megatron's kind of just talking to the head. Alas, poor Ultra Magnus. I knew him well. He never had time for anything. He could never deal with anything.
But then this is again going to the cribbing of things from other sources, right? Is that yes, it's obviously meant to evoke that kind of stuff, but they didn't put any effort into actually earning that reference.
Correct.
And so it's just sort of like, oh, there's Ultra Magnus's head, and then at one point the camera settles on it for like 45 seconds or something, and it's just like, is his eye going to light up? His eye's going to light up. His eye's definitely going to light up. Oh, no, it didn't. Okay.
It's like there's some sort of script writing theory where it's like in a movie, you don't bring up an object or something like that without later on using it for something, even if it's a MacGuffin of some sort. And to me...
It literally is the MacGuffin rule, right?
It's the MacGuffin rule, right. So, so seeing Ultra Magnus's head, for me, just felt like, okay, they're really going to do something with this now. Maybe he's going to come back to life. Maybe he's going to send out a distress signal, something. But then there's no payoff whatsoever. And I think this actually links quite well to your point, Chase, about all this stuff during the show never being earned. That there's sort of, you introduce something, but there's no payoff. So it's kind of storytelling 101 that's kind of missing from FJ's skill set.
I think that might be more building towards Megatron as a sadistic bastard, having the head of his former friend and enemy. Right. But that's it. I mean, like you said, it should have built towards a spark in the eye or something. But no.
Yeah. But here's the thing: Megatron's the bad guy. We already know this. Like having him leave Ultra Magnus's head around to monologue to does not make Megatron more bad. It just makes him a bit weird in the head.
Which is maybe what they were going for, in their defense.
They also kind of build up this, is Megatron talking to dead Ultra Magnus because he's losing it? Oh, no, he stopped. It's okay.
Yeah. He's only told Ultra Magnus everything he needs to know and no more. Yeah. All right, I would like us to move on. Like, let's spend a couple more minutes on this.
It finally gives me a good use of the Titans Returns Ultra Magnus I got with, I think it was with Repugnus a few years ago. The little Titan Master Ultra Magnus, and I got him in his head mode sitting next to Megatron.
My God, that's right. I have to dig out that box because that headmaster is still in the box.
There you go.
That's a fantastic idea. And I will not credit you when I take a photo of it. But yes, although Megatron's hands don't open, but yeah,
he never holds it.
I thought he did. So this is the thing. We're so conditioned to thinking he's going to do a Yorick that, like, I don't know whether he actually picked up the fucking head or not. I mean, who knows what the purpose of Ultra Magnus's head being on the table is? Is Ultra Magnus just the new Polycom? Is it when he needs to call Cybertron? Like he just... it's on Wilson. Cybertron. Yeah, it's his new Wilson. But did he install Ultra Magnus in the conference room table on the Nemesis? So like when Shockwave rings, Ultra Magnus's eyes flash or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and he picks up one of Ultra Magnus's head cones.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I was thoroughly whelmed by the show. I would lean more towards underwhelmed, but like I don't want to be that cruel. But like it's easier to pick holes in it than it is to praise it. Yeah, it is easier to be negative about the show than it is to be positive.
Join me on this side of the potential awesome toy reveals.
Which one of you has donuts?
I can get some.
There was an oddly long pause there.
I was just waiting for Tony to say me.
You want one? Is that the deal?
Kinda. Yeah, why not? All right, so look, let's go. Let's move on. So we've talked about Earthrise. We are at 49 minutes into the show. We're going to talk about some news, okay?
Can we talk about some toys?
Yes, we can talk about some toys. It has been a month since we've done a show. So in that month, literally every single thing that people have been waiting for the last year has hit Australian shelves and basically sold all the way through. Ozformers, Griffin from Ozformers posted up a message on their Facebook page the other day that said, "Hey everyone, thank you for buying every single Transformer you could over the last couple of months or so, because it's actually 2020 turned into one of the best years ever for Transformers in Australia." And I playfully put a comment under it just saying I'm a little bit concerned that considering we couldn't get Transformers for 9/10 of the year, the fact that Kmart brought in exclusive Netflix waves and they're gone, and then Studio Series 86 comes out and it's gone. Big W gets a couple of like random boxes of Earthrise and it's gone. I'm really concerned that makes a really good year for Transformers in Australia.
Says a lot about 2020, doesn't it?
It should, well,
a good year for sales, not a good year for stock.
That's right. Yeah, but it's just really weird. Like, if you can't get the stock because it's not there, how can you have a good year on sales? But like maybe it's just that everyone fucking ordered it from Amazon, which is what we were telling people to do all year during the pandemic. So Netflix Wave 2 hit Kmart in November. And we talked about that quite a lot on the show at the time, but we did note that there was a notable omission of the Wave 2 Voyagers. Now, the Wave 2 Voyagers are pretty important to Transformers fans because one of them is Optimus Prime, the other is a cleaned up version of the Siege Soundwave mold without the weird cracks and battle damage, and a much more G1 style colour scheme. Completely incongruent with his appearance in the show, but everyone loves a G1 Soundwave. So everyone was really up on getting that Soundwave, and they did not appear at the same time as the Deluxes, but they did come in about a month later. So sort of mid-December to sort of, I think, probably from about the 13th, 14th, and 15th on to around the 20th, 25th, like we saw this stock appear around the country. And we should also note that I'll note while we're doing this, I'm just going to put us back in the fore up. We should also note that like Hasbro's actually managed to give us really good prices on Netflix figures in Australia. The Netflix Deluxes are $22. That's a couple of dollars premium over the regular deluxe price, but we still get them at $29. And the Voyager figures are $49 in Australia, but those are Voyagers plus 2 Battle Masters, and they're priced that way in other territories. They're priced at about $70 or $80. So we lucked out as far as the prices go for these guys. They did also release the Wave 1 leader, which is the dead Magnus, and he was priced at $89, where other territories have him priced at about $129, $130 because of the packed-in Battle Masters and Play-Doh. And the one shame about that is that despite Kmart having exclusive on Netflix everything, it appears they did not lock in an exclusive on the Wave 2 leader because that's gone to Zing and EB Games and a bunch of other online retailers at the $130 price point. So if you are after the Siege Nemesis Prime, which you should be because it's a pretty shit hot figure, you are going to have to pay the higher price for it, unfortunately.
It is worth it though with all the accessories.
Yeah, like it's it's pretty cool. So the Netflix Wave 2 Voyagers came out. Then I'm gonna put the screen share back up because where are we? That's me. That's weird. There, that's the one I want. Then December the 11th, we cracked a world first because. As you can see here, there's a picture that Simon, who's TCCA's erstwhile president, went out and snapped a photo. He's went, and this is the behind the scenes story of this photo is that Simon went out to a toy store and he took a photo of it and he put it in the TCCA committee headquarters chat. And he's like, "Hey, look at these. Does anyone want these?" And Chris and myself in the chat was just like, "Holy shit, is that on Australian shelves? Like." Those are brand new. Those aren't meant to be out until February or March. Holy crap, that's Scourge and Hot Rod. So Simon snapped one of the two world's first photos of these on store shelves. there was someone on Ozformers who posted a photo around the same time at a different Toy Kingdom or Toy World store in New South Victoria. But yeah, so we got Studio Series 86, everything except the leader, first on the planet. Doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, wow. So yeah, Studio Series 86 figures are out in the wild. They've ended up at Toy World and I think the
Kmart.
places at Kmart and some of the places in New South Wales that are like Toy World but not quite Toy World, like Uncle Pete's and Casey's Toys and stuff. I think they've ended up with them as well. I'm not entirely sure, but there's been a massive snafu from Big W in that the Voyagers, for whatever reason, did not scan when people would attempt to purchase them, which has led to a lot of people being able to purchase Voyagers at the $29 deluxe price point, because Big W staff are not very interested in like looking up things properly when they go through the checkout. So yeah, there's been a couple of cases of people getting super cheap Voyagers, and if you're unlucky, then they will look up the right thing and charge you $49 for them. But like, if you're going to buy the figure, you should be willing to pay the right price for it anyway. So we've also got we have Jazz, Cup, and Blur, the Wave 1, the other Wave 1 deluxes for Studio Series, and they've popped up at different stores around the place, but you can generally get them for somewhere between $29 and $35. And there's been a lot of people who have been enjoying these figures. I think Bradley's going to talk about them in a few minutes' time, and yeah, so. World first, we got these figures before the rest of the planet. So
can I just say, Jace, that
cool.
this event back in December makes me really proud to be an Australian. I got to say, I don't know how it happened. I don't know who did what to who in order to make it happen. But
there's certainly rumours.
Yeah,
right.
They involve Bradley apparently.
No. So there's certainly rumours of what's been going on. I don't know how much I should say about the rumors, but like basically these were not meant to go on sale yet, but they did. They got shipped to toy stores, and they got put on sale in those stores, and apparently they shouldn't have. And apparently Hasbro's really pissed about it, because these should not have gone on sale in Australia before America. However, in the intervening weeks, they did go on sale in America, and so there was originally some plan to recall the remaining stock and take it back to warehouses, but apparently now that it's been released in America, they're like, kind of don't care anymore.
That'd be like trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube, wouldn't it? Like once it's out, right?
It is, but it's more that they wanted people in America to be able to buy the toys first. So like, if you take them off shelves, then you've stopped people buying them, even if people already bought them. So Hasbro was also apparently not very happy at Big W selling Voyagers at $29. So that was also one of the reasons they were going to recall them, but that's been fixed up now, and Big W seems to have settled on $45 for them. So yeah, there's the price points are kind of all over the place. Just shop around and remember to price match. That's the best advice I can give anyone, really. If you look at the comments on this post over on the right hand side, there's a comment saying, "Holy shit, it's going to be like seagulls on a chip," and that's absolutely correct. It really was.
Can I tell you a fun fact, Jace, after this photo was taken? So I was actually around that Fountain Gate area probably about 2 hours after Simon posted this. And as I walked into the store, there was a guy there. And I think on this shelf behind this photo, there were probably about 6 or 7 other hot rods there. And as I walked in, there was a guy, very well-dressed guy in a suit, and he was carrying 5 hot rods. and I asked him, "Are you a collector?" And he goes, "No, mate, mind your own business." And then basically went to the front of the counter and basically bought the 5. And then the girl behind the counter basically said, "Look, don't worry about him. He's a collector. He comes in here all the time." And I suspect he's a scalper, but she went out the back and she pulled out another 2 and put them back on the shelf. So
this is an interesting thing, right? So Simon received so many requests to pick these up and post them. He was in our chat just going, "I've cleaned them out. Like they've got no stock left, and so like he basically walked out with any Studio Series 86 they had on the shelf. They only had the Voyagers at this point, and he took them all, and then he's like, oh, someone's asked if I can get something or other for them, and he said, oh, someone else has gone to the store and posted another sighting, and there's more. So like they must have restocked it. So fair enough.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Well, I have to go back and get more things for people." So he went back and he cleaned them out again, and then and then like the deluxes started popping up. And so my Studio Series 86 is probably one of the ones behind these ones. So Simon picked them up from Toy World for me and posted them up, and so it's just sort of a funny story about the way that these things turn up. I want to move on. There's been another Transformers release in Australia, which has happened today, in fact, and that is Kingdom. Kingdom is out on shelves. This is an exceptionally well stocked. I think it looks like Toymate. I'm not sure.
I think it's made up. I know there are no toy stores that are that well stocked.
It's possible this is a Photoshop job, but we can very clearly see Kingdom Deluxes and not sure if there's
Voyagers.
there's and Voyagers, and there's Cores over on the right hand side as well. So yeah, Kingdom is definitely out in the wild. It's going wild on store
Sure, there's
shelves
not a
everywhere.
kick button.
No, not that you have access to. Kingdom's definitely out there this week. It's going wider. It should start turning up at places like Kmart and Myer and Target soon. And it'll be very interesting. So you can actually see, I'm just going to zoom in on this a little bit, which could well fuck everything up. So deluxe price point there is $34.95, which is pretty much what we expect these days. And the Voyager price point is still $49. Had been expecting a price rise on this, and especially given that I think this is Toy Mate, not Toy World. So Toy Mate generally has the prices okay. Toy World generally prices a little bit higher. Kingdom's out there now. If there's a particular figure that you're looking for, keep an eye out for it.
Cyclonus.
Yeah, I'm definitely there for Cyclonus. I've asked people to get one for me. I don't
know which toy mate this is, but it's obviously like mine, still trying to shift those movie masterpiece barricades and some squeakses.
but also like there's a shitload of Siege Micromasters. There's Bots.
Yeah.
There's is the Bumblebee movie still there as well? Like, yes, the Bumblebee movie's still there. Like, there's also a couple of Last Night figures there, I think, as well. It's like, this is definitely stuff that hasn't sold. Let's also, I do want to talk about the fact that the community has actually really, really pulled together in the last few weeks as well. We've been forming hunt groups, and people have been picking up toys and passing them to each other, and making efforts to get people the toys that they want, ostensibly before scalpers get them. But I have to say, I'm not personally sure that there's really that much of a scalping problem. Like, sure, it exists, but I don't think people are going in and cleaning out stores and then selling them online. I think what ends up happening is that we as collectors don't recognize the behavior in others that we ourselves do. Like, I'll go into this store, and people will be on my messenger going, "Can you get me a Cyclonus? Can you get me a Cyclonus?" And like, I'll have to pick up 5 Cyclonuses, and I'll pick them off the shelf, and I'll go to the counter, and I'll be like, "Great, I've made 5 friends happy. I've got them all Cyclonuses and everything." And the next person will walk in behind me going, "He's a fucking scalper."
Which is exactly what I did at Fountain Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw that going.
And this is the thing, like we don't recognize that this is happening, and so I don't think scalping's that big a problem. I think scalping happens. I don't deny that, but I don't think it's that big of a problem. However, distribution is a problem, and distribution has been a problem throughout 2020, and so it makes me really happy to see members of the community forming these groups and going, "Hey, Kingdom is at this store. I'm going there now. So, if you want something, let me know." And you'll get a list, and they'll pick it up, and they'll either pass things along to someone who knows someone. It's like we have an underground railroad of toys. They'll either pass things along, or they'll post them, or wait until someone can meet up or something. And I think it's really great. I really appreciate that members of the community are helping each other like this, because it's definitely not always been like this. And I really like the fact that these groups have formed. If you're looking in TCCA in the Facebook group, there's a tab at the top called Units, and it's meant to be like where you put educational things for people to learn about in the group. We don't really have that much educational content, but one of the things that we do put in as units is a list of hunt groups, and so we're trying to grow that list. There's a really great group in Victoria that's run by Brody Jaxius Borg. I'm not sure if that's actually his Facebook name. It might just be Brody Jaxius now. But you'll find that linked in there. So if you're in Victoria and you want to go hunting for Transformers, or you want to know where sightings occur, join that group. In New South Wales, we have a messenger group, so we do things a little bit differently. There's a messenger group, and people will post sightings and things like that in there. And people will do some dealing and finding things and organising to post on a chat basis, and then. And so that happens. A group has formed in southeast Queensland, and I've seen a couple of people in South Australia posting sightings, and I was like, you guys should form a group, please. Like, let's get that underway as well. So, if you're someone who actually goes out and visits a lot of toy stores and posts sightings in the group, please consider starting a local hunt group or a local sightings group, so that people can at least see where new figures are appearing in a nice, easy way. So the one thing I noticed is that when figures get released, and this happened with Studio Series 86, it's happening today with Kingdom, people just post sighting after sighting after sighting. So you come in at night time and you look at TCA and you're just like, oh, there's a lot of toy sightings everywhere. And it's all the same thing. It's like it's a photo of store shelves and the name of a store in a state that you're not in. And so you scroll past it. And so it would be really nice to be able to put the sightings somewhere that's meaningful for people in those local areas, where they can go, oh, hey, that's great, that store's around the corner for me, that's got a figure I want, I'm going to go get it. But also, oh, hey, if you want a Netflix Soundwave, let me know, and there's 5 there, I'll pick a couple up and post them to people. It's really nice. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate that people are doing this for each other, and I think it's great. It's a nice little buzz for the community. So thank you everyone who's been involved in this, and please keep it up, and let's help it spread a little bit further as well.
Yeah, I'm starting. It's very small at the moment, the ACT and surrounds one. So if you're listening in the ACT or one of the immediately adjacent places, then hit me up, or I'll be just touting it about the next day or two after I make it, depending when you're listening to this. So that's another one forming.
Sounds great. Thank you. So yeah, let me know, and we'll add it to the education unit list as well, so that people can find it whenever they're looking for it.
Yeah, it's only got 3 people in the minute,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I'm also saying it's got 3 people, so we're more than happy for people to jump on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, send me the details. We'll talk offline. So yeah, Kingdom is out there. People are definitely pulling out all stops to help people acquire the figures that they're after. So go you good community. You. Thank you very much. I'm gonna talk about 2 more news stories, and then that's it, because we are actually well over time, but there's a couple of things that actually did happen that are specifically newsworthy this week that I want to talk about. One, and they're both actually Masterpiece figures. It's been a while since we've talked about Masterpiece figures. No, I want to talk about because they're skids. The one figure that no one thought would actually get a Masterpiece release. I know people who've gone out and purchased X-Transbots Savant literally in the last few months, going, Takara will never do this. Guess what? There's a Masterpiece Skids coming. Takara, in a very uncharacteristic reveal, did not go the black silhouette route, and instead has posted some detailed sketch schematics of what the Masterpiece Skids figure will look like.
It's kind of like technical drawing.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And the news is that he looks like Skids, and that's we don't actually know when it's coming out. They've just out of the blue. I think it was actually New Year's Day. Out of the blue, they're just like, hey, by the way, we're doing a Masterpiece Skids. have fun with those pictures and stuff like that. So, you can probably assume that it's probably going to be similar in price to maybe Hound. I don't know. Hound sort of seem to be, I think, maybe what 200, 240 or so.
You think it'll have
It's
the
probably a bit
same
high.
brittle quality?
I really fucking hope not.
Wouldn't be Masterpiece without it, Bradley.
Ooh,
True.
ooh, yeah. So Masterpiece Skids is coming. Let's also then talk about the other Masterpiece that was revealed this week. Not that it was actually news to anyone. There's a repaint of Starscream coming. Masterpiece. We've made fun of the fact that Takara's suffixes don't often make sense before. Usually the plus suffix is reserved for a cartoon accurate repaint of a character. However, in this case, MP52 is Starscream and MP52 Plus is Thundercracker, because why the fuck not? So there's no MP52T, or just make it fucking MP53. Who gives a shit? No, it's MP52 Plus. I don't know what's going to happen when they do Skywarp.
Skywarp
MP52 Plus Plus.
Yeah.
The MP52 double plus ungood. But yeah. Masterpiece Thundercracker. He is actually gone up. He's actually gone up for order about $10 cheaper than Starscream in most places. So, the sky blue flavored repaint of Starscream. He looks great.
Those colours turned out pretty nice.
Oh god, yeah. He really did. He looks fantastic. I'm totally there. I'm totally there for this. Like,
have you got him pre-ordered already, Jason?
I have.
There you go.
He's going to come from Oma Primus in Singapore. Their price was really good. It was $270 Singapore dollars. And right now, I shit you not, the Aussie dollar is actually doing well. The Aussie dollar is doing better than it has in the last few years, and I swear the Americans should have an insurrection more often, because the Aussie dollar is doing great guns. It's at 78 cents. So, like, if you're used to doing Australia to or US to Australian dollar conversions and just sighing after you do it right now. So, I went onto Oh My Primus, and like the options are: do you want to pay a deposit and pay the rest later, or do you want to put the full amount down? And like, put the full amount down right now while the exchange rate is great. Done. Have your money. Done. Be happy. So yeah, that's worked out really well. When I bought Starscream was 280 Singapore dollars, but it worked out at about 300 Australian. Thundercracker is 270 Singapore dollars, and it's worked out at about 260 Australian. So like that's a $40 difference.
Nice.
So it's going all right. It's going all right. America should not have an insurrection more often. That's not something we would like to. That's not something we would like to see happen. But I would like to see the Australian dollar perform better than it has for the last 5 years, where the exchange rate has been in the shitter. So Masterpiece Thundercracker is definitely coming, and he looks great. So I'm looking forward to putting this up on my shelf. I got to be honest, my other Masterpiece Seekers, they're going. I'm gonna sell them. This is the new jam as far as Masterpiece Seekers are going, and I can't wait.
Do you think they'll improve upon this in like another 50? I don't see how they can improve upon this design.
Not even making the underpants a little bit smaller, perhaps?
No, they're fine. They're fine. This happens every time. Like, this happened with Megatron as well. People are like, oh, but he's got a nappy. I was like, that's fine. Yes, by the way, that is my voice for when I'm like repeating feedback that I disagree with.
An insurrection. The US dollar doesn't look that great. Oh, somebody stormed the Capitol.
Jamiroquai has become president. From another galaxy. Apparently from the dead universe. Skylinks' heart's in zero gravity.
Oh god, can we move on?
We can, and we're going to. That is
virtual insanity.
That is it for news. I'm going to kick out the news screen share. We're going to come back to a 4-up, and we are well over time, but we are going to talk about some new acquisitions. Does Does anyone have new acquisitions? Let me scroll down to that point in the run sheet. Bradley, I believe you have some new toys you would like to talk about. Let me make you full screen for the rest of the podcast.
Yes, please do. I have too many to fit onto one show, so Jason cracked the whip and said, "Keep it to 2." So I'm going to keep it to 2 dozen. I've got the
that was my very clear instruction.
Yeah, I've got the 86 movie line, Wave 1. I don't have Grimlock yet, but I'm very glad to have all these
No
toys.
one does.
Yeah.
Grimlock's the one I'm after.
Put them all
Because
into their...
Grimlock.
Put them all into their vehicle mode. I reckon they look pretty sleek and sexy. I do like Cup. He's
I like Cup more than I thought I would. I remember doing a very, very specific whinge about.
I remember it too, Jason.
I stand by everything. He doesn't look like his animation model, but
Blair is just amazing.
Yeah.
I've always, I've seen the potential with Titans Returns Blair, and it's just nice to get him without him being a headmaster and in nice blue colors. And he's not a headmaster, so that's good. So that's definitely a win. Now we've got the Iron, aka Scourge. I always call him that because he's shaped like an iron.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. He can do the head pop-up thing, but that involves popping the sides out, and I'm not doing that. And I got Jazz. He doesn't have his speakers though, so
someone will do that as an add-on, surely.
Well, I mean, if you like speakers that much, you can just keep your Special Ops Jazz. Who else did I say I was going to show off? I've got Netflix Prime or Netflix.
Yeah, bring him over. Bring him over. So we've talked about this guy a lot over the last 6 months. We were very upset when he didn't come out in October, November. And now he's here. You can get him. You can walk into an eBay or a Zing store and pick him up for 130 smackaroos. And he's a really fun character.
This is my first time with this mold. I didn't get the Optimus Siege mold, so I really like this mold. I really like the way the colors are done: black, red, green. I like the accessories. I did have the Power of the Primes Nemesis, which has since gone into storage. That thing's friggin' huge. Who else we got? Got Ratchet, got Exhaust, got Gigawatt, Ironhide.
Which Ratchet is that?
This is the Galactic Odyssey.
Okay.
Paradron Medics, yeah.
Yeah. Gigawatt, Prowl. I got this guy thanks to you, Jason. Thrust.
Oh, yes, Thrust. Are his legs stuck together? No, fair enough. Yeah, you can just jiggle them.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I think I'll keep it. I think I'll keep it there because, like I said, I've still got more. But there are other people here. I've got to be considerate towards them.
Yeah, look, I'm going to very quickly go through acquisitions because they've arrived, but I have not opened them.
I'm still on screen.
You are. See, I told you that was going to happen. So. Over in a box to my yonder off stage right, there is a giant box that is an Earthrise Scorponok. I got to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed at myself. I got Amiga Supreme from Amazon for $180 at the start of 2020, and I've just been not buying Earthrise Scorponok, going, I'm going to get it for $180. Start of 2021. And I don't think it's going to happen. So
it's not.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. If it does, I'll be disappointed now because I now paid $280 for him, and that came from.
That's all right.
Yeah, it was all right. It came from Savier's Toys.
I've certainly seen him for much higher.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, going right over $400 at one point.
The cheapest
or
I
if I
have
see
seen
him
him.
cheaper, it's sold out.
Yes, yeah, no, exactly. The cheapest I have seen him is $246 on Amazon, which was still like $60 more than I wanted to pay for him. But now I've paid $80 more or whatever, 90, whatever. But I've got him now. I feel every time I see him, I feel like he's a very different Titan, right? Like his colors are much more vibrant than the other Titans that we've got, and I feel like the detail on him really makes him stand out. And so I've just, every time I see him in photos, I'm just like, oh, I really actually want to put that in my collection. So for the price of impatience, I was happy to break my $180
Plus,
rule for
no
Titans.
stickers.
Does he not have stickers? I don't know. He's still in his box.
No, he doesn't have stickers, so there's a plus.
Fair enough. Now I'm just gonna reach under my desk here and pull out. No, Andy's in the other room. Pull out a couple of things that I've got sitting under the desk for other acquisitions, which is the Transformers Red series, the robot enhanced design. I decided I quite like these. I imported a few for some people a few months ago, and they just sort of stuck with me as a nice representation of characters that are very familiar to me. And so I've got the G1 ones. I've got Prime, got Megatron, got Soundwave. They're all Wave 1. Wave 2 doesn't have any G1 characters. Not sure if I'm going to actually go for that. Wave 3 has... Wave 3... no, that's Wave 4. I think. I don't know. There's a Bumblebee coming and there's a Coronation Starscream coming. Now, this is the thing about these figures. You can't get Wave 1 in Australia, 2 or 3, but the Wave 4 figures, the Bumblebee and Starscream, they are up for pre-order on Zavvi. So if you are into the red figures, you can start collecting them locally. That's definitely a thing that can happen. They're $39.99 each on Zavvi, so fairly reasonable as far as like 6-inch non-transforming figures go. That's sort of about the price point for Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series figures. So,
do they have the posability? Like, are they
do.
actually Action Masters?
They're not Action Masters because you can pose them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna open these up over the course of the weekend and take some photos of them because I really liked them when I saw them a couple of months ago. So yeah, I'm very, very into those. Daria, let me not forget to change the camera. Daria, how are you doing? What have you got there for us?
First off, my Christmas present to myself, which was also a surprise because I thought this order had been cancelled, is the Galactic Odyssey Paradron Medic 2-pack. So you've got your War for Cybertron, Ratchet, and Lifeline. And I'm actually pretty happy with them. I may have said before, I was lamenting the lack of a decent Ratchet figure, or at least a decent Ratchet figure that one could actually get the last few lines. So even though I'm not fond of this random vehicle part and calling it a shield thing, I'm pretty happy
Seems
with
very
this.
common, doesn't it?
And let's be fair, Lifeline's got the same problem with her quote-unquote hoverboard on her back.
Mm-hmm.
But they're nice representations of the figures, and as someone who is fiction then toys, I'm pretty happy with finally having these two. Lifeline's just different enough from Generations or from Thrilling 30 RC to keep things interested. And also, unexpectedly, because I just spotted one on a shelf, which I did not think was going to happen, got Gigawatt.
Oh, that's the other thing. Sorry, I should mention in terms of Transformers suddenly appearing at retail, Transformers collab Gigawatt just suddenly dropped on shelves across Victoria in Toy World stores for $60 after selling out everywhere. So great.
Yeah, I'd given up on him because Amazon had run out and Zing had run out and everywhere else was in the eBay along to get this department. So I thought, oh, well, that would have been nice. But then, yeah, there was a stack of him just sitting on a shelf in a regular Toymate, and one of them's now mine.
So I'll tell you an unfortunate story about Gigawatt. So Gigawatt dried up everywhere, and you couldn't pre-order it. I got an order in for In Demand Toys in the UK for 3. They are now sitting at my sister's house in London, ready to ship over. And we also got Chris, friend of TCCA over in Canada, to go out into Canadian stores and pick up 5 of them. And Chris dutifully bundled everything up in a box and posted it off. And literally the next day they turned up at Toy World stores. The ones coming from Canada are not going to be $60. They're a little bit more expensive than that, unfortunately. But that's fine. We'll just hang on to them until the stock dries up again. So, yeah.
Mine was
Anywho.
a Toy Mate. I think my local Toy World, comparing it to other people's Toy World stories, I think it's kind of playing to its own tune.
I think
Yeah,
the majority
maybe.
of them do that.
A lot of them do. Like I've asked Toymate about their stock situation before, and the staff behind the counter just said we literally don't know what's coming in until it arrives on the dock and we open the box. Because apparently the arrangement with Toymate is that like Hasbro just sends them stuff rather than them actually ordering things. Like every retailer probably has a different relationship with Hasbro. Who knows? But, yeah. Now I'm going to return us to the 4-Up because Tony doesn't have a camera. Tony's identity is shrouded in mystery, by the way, everyone. Like he's like the dark horse of the collecting community. So, Tony, we're gonna ask you a little bit about your collecting habits since you are the new kid on the block.
Yeah, of course.
What is it that you like to collect?
So I used to be a collector of the old, sort of the original G1 figures, back when they were there was a lot more quality control and they were built a lot better. But then I sort of gave that up after a while and only recently sort of got back into collecting. And because of War for Cybertron, there was one fateful day where I happened to walk past my local comic shop and I saw Siege Sideswipe and Siege Hound in these nice little pristine plastic boxes up on the shelf. And the design of Sideswipe just hooked me in immediately. So ever since then, I've been on this kind of warpath trying to collect all of the Siege, War for Cybertron, obviously all of Earthrise, and a little bit of Kingdom, because I'm not as much of a fan of Beast Wars as Bradley is. But definitely trying to sort of collect the Season 1, Generation 1 cast. And I've kind of got pretty much everybody I need now, with the exception of Huffer. So when he comes out for Kingdom Wave 2, that's going to sort of complete my collection. So I'm kind of nearing the end of this journey, Jace, I feel. The famous last words, right? So, you know, I saw the new Ultra Magnus from the Kingdom Wave, and that looks really good too. So so I might have to extend it from Season 1 to Season 3. I'm not sure.
So I believe what you're experiencing is this thing that we call collection creep.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like scope creep for government projects, but it just affects the size, the number of rooms in your house in which you have to put figures. So, yeah.
That's right. And what's even worse though is the justification that you go through in your own mind for, you know, I'll just get another mold of this Starscream one. I'll stop after that though, and you never do, right? It just keeps going.
No. It's the lies we tell ourselves.
That's right.
Now, Bradley, you wanted to ask a couple of questions.
Yes, very interesting. Well, since you're new
in Soviet Russian, questions ask you.
Well,
since you're new, I don't know if this would be relevant, but it's what I like to ask. Holy Grails with collecting. What's one that you're after, and what's one that you currently possess?
Well, in terms of the one that I possess, it's actually one of my acquisitions. Actually, it's Ratchet, the Galactic Odyssey Paragon Medics Ratchet,
nice.
Which Daria so kindly took us through earlier, and so did you, Bradley. Because I feel like that it's something that hasn't been done well. And to be frank, I still think that this one isn't the perfect Ratchet just yet, because it's still got the grey hands, for example, and doesn't come with two little guns, for example, like the handheld pistols. So that to me is the one that I have got. The one that I do want is actually Scorponok. I feel like I've been waiting, similar to Jace, I've sort of been waiting in the market to sort of for the price to come down, and I feel like I've missed my chance now, and I'm going to have to front up with the cash that I don't have.
To talk shop, there have been sightings. There's been a couple of Scorponoks sitting on a Toy World store in Frankston for $299 for the last few weeks. So, like, if you fancy a trip to Frankston, you can pick up a Scorponok.
Yeah, I'm not that desperate to go to Frankston for that, but
Fair enough.
But should I move on to acquisitions, Jace, or?
Yeah. Why not? Let's pick two of your notable acquisitions.
Okay.
Two notable acquisitions, preferably ones that we haven't talked about already.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure I can handle that, but I can promise you one that, that I haven't talked about. The Hot Rod SS86 for me was a very, very good acquisition.
I'm going to put myself on screen while you're talking because I actually have the Studio Series 86 Hot Rod in.
Not like Adriana
hand.
Alexandrides from Wheel of Fortune. Like you're showing off some vowels. Here's a consonant.
Sorry. Is Adriana still alive or has she passed away? I can't remember.
I think she has passed.
So,
okay.
so the reason I want to point this out is because they had her on a season of Celebrity Big Brother, and it was notable. She was notable on it because she would carry like an aerosol can of air freshener around with her, and there was a point where basically she farted and sat it bolt upright and then just sprayed the air freshener. So, if I'm gonna be like Adriana Exenitis,
You better get sprayed.
So
Yes.
just to keep tracks, someone asked you.
She
I
has-
Died in
don't-
2010.
I don't have a deodorant, but I do have a Quintesson.
I was going to say, you do have a fart.
Even WD-40 would suffice there,
Yeah.
Jason. You got something in the back there.
Yeah, this
Sorry,
is true. Something.
Just to butt
But,
in, Adriana Exenitis passed in 2010.
Oh,
Oh, well,
Shame.
Don't worry, Jason, you're still here, though.
yeah, respect. And in out of respect for her, I will just flip Hot Rod around and
There we
flip him
go.
back.
Nice.
There we go. There we go.
time to make
Oh,
a guess.
weapon
Right.
story. I was
Does
like,
does anyone want to buy a vowel?
I'll bet.
weapons
I
story,
know.
I said.
No, I'm already bankrupt, so I can't.
Yeah, that's good. That's why you can't buy Scorponok.
That's right. But the thing I was going to say about Hot Rod, though, is I noticed, and you can check on the TCCA Facebook page, there was someone who had suggested a bit of a hack for Hot Rod when you transform him into car mode or alt mode, where the
That was
front-
Jesslyn Bell, I believe it was.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the front of the car obviously doesn't sort of necessarily sit flush with the headlights, particularly on the sort of the right-hand side. And I had that problem for a while. Now, I didn't do Jesslyn's fix, but I did find my own fix, which is that if you actually look at the underside of the car, and I know you've got it in robot mode, Jace, so you can't do this, but
I've got
there
mine
are
in
two
car
little
mode.
grey... Oh, you've got it?
Here you go, Bradley.
Yeah, awesome. So if you have a look under the hood there, see those two little grey columns next to on the inside
These
in
two?
there? Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Yep,
only
yep.
thing I had to do was make sure that they were at a proper angle, that were tilted back, like up towards the top, and then straighten up the arms so that they're straight. And then everything sat flush for me.
This is actually something that I found a bit funny with Hot Rod, and I'll put myself back on for this because I have them in robot mode. This is possibly a little bit more pertinent. So, looking at Hot Rod, where's my camera? There. If I put it there, I can't really see. But so Hot Rod's shoulder assembly is actually quite unusual for a modern transformer, because you can actually move his shoulders sort of a little bit forward and backward according to the poses that you want him to have. So there's a bit of a free form there, and then you can also then rotate the arm around there and around there, and so that's why you sort of move it around a bit there, because it doesn't really like swinging forward and backward. But I feel like what you're talking about is making sure that these shoulders are actually lined up properly in car mode, and maybe that's part of the trick to it as well.
Yeah, because in car mode, to your point, when you have those grey columns, if you show that robot again, Jace, if you look at from the top, in car mode, what you can do is you can actually hold the grey bit and then just twist the arm forward, and then when you do the transformation, and as long as the arm is straight and the grey bit is at an angle, if that makes sense, the front of the car will sit flush with the headlights, so you don't actually have to take the arm off and cut things off.
Yeah, I see.
Although that was a good solution as well.
I feel like the shoulders they're quite stiff out of the box, but I feel like the way that they're constructed is that they will become looser and easier to move over time. Like for mine, the left arm really doesn't like moving, doesn't really like rotating up, but it will over time. Like, you know, I guess the more I do that, the easier it will be to rotate. I have heard, however, of people actually breaking the yellow parts in there and in trying to move the arms around. So do be a little bit careful with it until it loosens up.
Yeah, I did. That actually happened to me. It didn't break, but the actual arm popped off. So that little grey bit kind of sits in a slot that's in the rest of Hot Rod's body. So anyway, the second one for me, just moving on, is Kingdom Cyclonus. So I did.
Do you know what, Tony? I really wish he had a camera.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I've got to say though, I am the world's ugliest man. So I have a little trophy.
No, that's
as well.
me.
No, well, no, I think I'll beat
I
you.
thought that was Holly from Red Dwarf.
Norman, love it.
Nice. But Kingdom Cyclonus was the one that I got. And I got to say, first of all, the packaging is amazing, which you've obviously seen across all the photos. I got the nice little card that kind of came with it. It was a picture of Primal, I think it was. But the thing about Cyclonus to me is just not the size of him, and the chunkiness of him is amazing. The transformability and how great it looks when you actually sort of turn him into his alt mode. But there's one.
I just want to say, like, also on that, like, I've picked up. I've got 86 Scourge here as well. Scourge is a really, really nice Voyager. Like, so Hot Rod is the size of a deluxe figure. He makes up for it with accessories. And so I unpacked Hot Rod and I was like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. And then I opened up Scourge and I'm like, holy shit, this is really hefty. There's so many like joints move around. There's articulation, and it's great. Like, they really are impressive figures. And like, Cyclonus is like Scourge's brother from another Transformers line. But so yeah, like the same things are going to apply to Scourge and Cyclonus.
Yeah, and he scales really well next to Scourge as well, because I've got him. But the only thing that was slightly odd is that if I sort of stared at Cyclonus long enough, his face is quite elongated. It's quite long. It's kind of like the cup problem that you were talking about on a few podcasts ago, Jace. Where you thought,
is he the blur problem as well?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the blur, sort of the really long face. But to me, he actually, if you stare at his face long enough, he kind of looks a bit like a Cybertronian cat. He has very sort of cat-type eyes, and it started to freak me out, because then as soon as I thought that, I cannot not see that anymore.
Well, he's also got the two ears.
That's right. Exactly. So yeah.
So maybe Cyclonus is a Cybertronian cat. I mean, he's Galvatron's lapdog.
That's true. Maybe you should ask Andy.
Kitty?
Yeah.
Still anything.
Yeah. So yeah, very nice. Yeah, I Kingdom Cyclonus is one of the Kingdom figures I am looking forward to getting. I have asked people if they can acquire one for me, so hopefully I'll have one in a few days' time. We'll see what happens. I think that's it for new acquisitions. We are, as I've said several times in the last half hour, we are well over time, so we are going to bring this little show to a nice close. Small bit of club news. As I mentioned, I am the reason why a bunch of things are running late in TCCA at the moment, and the 12 Days of Christmas giveaway that we were hoping to run before Christmas, we will be running that this weekend, depending on when you're listening to this episode of the podcast. Yes, my apologies for the late drawing of that one, but unfortunately it was unavoidable. And that also will mean that we will then be starting the year with a clean slate and starting up some new fundraising activities. I got plenty of stock here for things that we can give away as fundraising prizes. Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah.
Gigawatts.
So yes, there's a few gigawatts available. But yeah, so there's a few things that have come in over the last month or so that definitely we are looking to use them as fundraising opportunities. Don't forget that TCCA raises funds to donate to the Royal Children's Hospital Foundation. And 10% of all of our revenue goes directly to that foundation on a quarterly basis. So we're actually due for the donation for the last quarter, which I want to sort out the 12 Days of Christmas giveaway before we do that. But there was several $100s raised from that giveaway. So big thank you to everyone for purchasing tickets, and I'm sorry it's taken so long to draw them. Other bit of club news is that we've been running the club as an interim acting committee in the last 6 months with Simon and Chris and myself. The club does have a constitution that states that members do need to be elected to positions. So we did send out nominations, and we have been holding elections for 2 positions. So those elections are now over, and we will send out the results, and we'll have a newly elected committee for at least the tail half of this year, and we might. We'll see how that goes going into the next financial year of the club. So yeah, new committee will be announced shortly via email, and that gives you a bunch of people that you can email if you're having issues with acquiring figures, or if you're having some issues at a state level and you want to get some advice on shops or things like that. That's about it. Does anyone have anything that you would like to add before we finish the show? If not, then you're not going to be able to talk about it for another 3 months when we do the next episode.
As the relative newbie on this panel, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to come on board, Jace. I really appreciate it. Had a lot of fun.
You're welcome. I hope you come back. Yeah, wait,
absolutely.
did I just see you leaving the chat? Shit. Okay. Come back. Tiny's just like the gif of Homer disappearing into the bushes.
That's right.
All right. That's it. I'm gonna do the outro. So thank you for listening, everyone. And I have been able to see. So we've actually been simulcasting tonight on YouTube and in the Facebook group, and I'm not sure if you guys can see, but there's actually been a ton of Facebook comments coming in from people in the group. So thank you, people who've been watching us live on.
It'd be nice to see them.
Yeah.
So they all come from Facebook user because no one's followed the instructions to connect them to screen.
Yeah, I've seen them.
So I can go like someone talking about the value of the dollar is up 0.153 cents there. I can't tell who that was, but so yeah, thank you for listening and watching along to the live stream, because it makes it obvious that people actually have. Sorry we didn't talk about any of your comments, but we didn't actually expect there to be any. You can find out more about these stories and more. There's links to them in the show notes that are posted to the Transformers Weekly Facebook page and the Podbean site. If you want to get in touch with us, we love feedback. Please feel free. There is our official site on Podbean, which is transformersweekly.podbean.com. Facebook page is called Australian Transformers Weekly, and of course we are all in Transformers Collectors Club Australia on Facebook. If you're not already subscribed, you can find the podcast on iTunes, Pocket Casts, YouTube. I'm going to say Spotify because it's probably on Spotify. It's in your podcatchers of choice, and if you really don't have a podcatcher of choice, there's an RSS feed on the website. We are a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia, a registered club in Victoria run by volunteers who donate their time and money and Friday nights to make the club better for everyone. Our goal is to connect Transformers fans around the country. We do it by engaging the community and running podcasts like this. And hunt groups and all sorts of other cool things. You can find out more information, including affordable yearly membership options, to show your support at transformerscca.com. Now, for a bit of shameless self-promotion, Bradley, you can be found on Twitch at what address?
Twitch.tv/GroovyGuyGaming. I've changed the name recently. I am having a bit of a break for mental health reasons, but if you enjoy the show, please do come up and hit me up on Twitch, and always like to talk about Transformers.
Just look for the big pair of legs with the Xbox controller between them.
Well, I play PlayStation, so that's
Look
probably
for
why.
just look for the big pair of PS5s with a controller between them.
I don't have a PS5.
Oh dear, this is not going well. Daria, would you like to do a bit of shameless self-promotion as well?
Sure, you can also hear me on a Steven Universe podcast called Not So Giant Women, anchor.fm/NotSoGiantWomen, or you can hear me on Podsploitation, Your Exploitation podcast at anchor.fm/Podsploitation, and you can also find those by popping those titles into Facebook.
Fantastic. Tony, do you have anything you'd like to promote? Do you have a SoundCloud?
I have a Tinder profile, and no.
Oh, dear.
I have absolutely nothing to promote. You will find me, though, on the Facebook page for the TCCA. I am often lurking around at your nearest coffee bean as well. So if you see me there, say hi.
Fair enough. You'll find me on Twitter at JM77. You'll find me in Transformers Collectors Club Australia, and you might occasionally find me making appearances on the Toy Reel podcast. You can find that at youtube.com/toyreel, and you can also search for Toy Reel on Facebook. That is a new thing for me. It's a group that's run by Quintesson, who is also in Transformers Collectors Club Australia, and we talk about more things than just Transformers, which means I'm like a babe in the woods and I don't know what I'm talking about. But they very graciously had me on last night talking about the top 5 releases of 2020. So yeah, do look up all those podcasts and connect with them and connect with us. That is it for us, and we'll be back. We keep saying this, that we'll be back with more Transformers news next week. At some point we will be back next week, but we'll see how we go. Thank you for listening, everyone, and that's it for us. And bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I feel like this should be the end of Sailor of the Century, where the camera rapidly pans out from everyone. Is that right? Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
You got to give.
I had to find a clean copy of that music. It was very difficult.
Jason's gone.
Whoa, he disappeared. So StreamYard
And we're
can still
still
run without.
live.
There we go.
You hit the wrong button.
I hit the wrong big red button and I left the stream myself, but that's okay. Brad can edit that out the wrong thing. There's a big red button at the bottom of the screen, there's a big red button at the top of the screen, and this one ends the broadcast, which means I can do that.